Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Wes,
And Mark.
and this is Trash Talk.
Finally, we're done with our E3 sub-arcs, so,
So yeah, I'm giving
Yeah.
myself a hand.
yeah.
Give Marcelo a hand over here.
Whoa, okay. Anyway, did you really?
Yes,
Anyway.
I had to make that joke.
We're back to Arc 3, which if you kind of forgot, because we hadn't done an episode in like 5 or so months on Arc 3. We're doing retro games from 1980 to 2004, so we got, the last 4 episodes we did were pretty alright. Actually, Sonic Boom was a cheat episode, because it's not even out yet. But, we're back, and we've got a pretty good game today. Alright. Would you like to say it, or should I say it?
You can go ahead and say it.
So we're reviewing Grand Theft Auto, the first one for the PlayStation 1.
And it was created in 1998 by developer Take-Two Interactive,
Yeah.
and then it was published by
We just had this.
uh,
God, okay.
Yeah.
It was published by,
it was published by Take-Two Interactive, and then it was developed by Visual Sciences. I'm sorry. I did a little rehearsing
Yeah.
before this. Obviously, did not go
as you
well.
can see, we're still beta testing our story, our episode structure. But I do also want to say before getting into the actual review itself, this was requested by Josh from Miiverse, so thanks for that request. Originally, we were looking into Grand Theft Auto for the Game Boy, but I looked at it and I was like, I don't know if this would be a good enough. There doesn't seem to be much material to really do the Game Boy version. But then he also said, if you can't do that, do the PS1 version. So here we are. I think the first thing we should go over right now is the controls. So
Okay, now me and him can both speak from experience from this.
yeah,
The controls are poopy.
the controls are bad.
Okay, not with like the stuff, not like the button controls, like the triangle. Those are all right. What I'm talking about with my main beef is the moving controls.
Yes.
PS1 did have does have analog sticks, in which those are revolutionary because they allow free movement. But this game didn't get the memo because you have to use the little arrow keys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
control.
then
I forgot what it's called.
the
but
control
yeah.
pad. That's
The D-pad.
The D-pad.
The directional
And
pad.
it's not easy. Like literally, my first time playing, I thought like the character, like the sprite, it was moving backwards. Like, oh my god, am I walking backwards? Like, it turns out it was.
And he was.
The game doesn't really explain to you how to actually move.
Yeah, I think you have to I think you have to look into the manual to like find out all the controls and everything. But here's what you have to do, because we didn't even say it right now. To move in this game, you have to either hold down triangle to walk or X to sprint, and then you can't simply just hold down
No,
forward.
triangle is to back up.
But back up? I
Yeah.
thought it was to walk. So all this time, when my first time playing,
You
I
were
was walking
backwards. Yes, you were. X is to move forward, triangles move backwards, which doesn't make sense
Oh
for
my God.
the actual walking sprite. It makes a little bit more sense for driving the car around because, yeah, sometimes you bump into a wall, you have to back up.
Sometimes.
Sometimes,
We'll get back.
yeah.
We'll get into that in a little bit. But okay. So apparently, X is to back. Triangles to back up. X is to sprint, and you have to hold down that button, and then you just start automatically going forward. So then after that, while you're doing that, then you can choose to go left or right, and then that's how you maneuver your dude around. So that's really complicated. I'm always, as a gamer, you're used to just hitting forward, and there you go. Not in this game. You also can press circle to punch people, so that's really funny. You can pick random fights with random strangers, and some of them
We'll fight you
will
back.
fight back, and it's hilarious.
But they will lose to you.
It's the most, yeah. Yeah, you can't like beat them up and kill them, and then they're just there, and then like blink a few times and disappear or something.
Yeah.
No. They just get right back up, and then they'll either go along their merry way, and nothing happened, or they'll just start beating you up. So that's kind of funny, to be honest. But Okay, so like, I guess we can get into the vehicle controls now. I'll say a little bit.
It's the same as the
I guess as the walking, as on foot controls.
as foot, but it makes a little bit more sense with it. Again, you still have to use like the D-pad, which it's mercifully more easier with the car than it is with the actual walking sprite, for the most part.
I mean, I do have some. If I can take the reins again real quick, I have my little issues with that. When you're walking, even when you're sprinting, it does make you go faster than when you're apparently moonwalking or something. But when you're walking, it's painfully slow. Like, I had no idea that you had to press X. Not my first time playing. You had to press X to sprint. So I'm walking everywhere, trying to complete missions and whatnot, and it's so tediously slow the way you walk in this game. And first off, if you don't know, this game, unlike the later Grand Theft Autos, this game, I'm not sure if the sequel does this, but the first one, for sure, gives you a top-down perspective when you're playing this game. And, I guess that plays more into the aesthetics, which we'll cover later. But, you walk so tediously slow, you go...
And then, like, if you're, like, even, like, a centimeter, like, close to the wall, you won't be able to move.
And then you go, like... When you're like... he got out of a car, and he didn't realize it, and he was ready... He hit a building, and there's tarps, right? The tarps cover your sight, which he didn't like, I didn't like either. But he thought the game froze because he had no idea he got out of the car, and he wasn't moving his dude, so he had no idea what was going on, and he thought the game crashed. It was the most hilarious thing ever. But the controls are just bleh. I mean, okay, so what I was trying to say earlier, to get back on track, was you move way too slow even when you're sprinting, and it's still kind of like a boom, 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 boom. You go faster than when you're walking, but and I guess to keep it like, you know, realistic, of course you're not gonna run like supersonic fast, but it is pretty tedious walking. Driving a car is like the exact opposite. You go so fast, and you slide everywhere. This game has really slippery turning mechanics, especially in a vehicle.
And I don't even know if there's a brake. I never found it.
I think I hope there is.
Usually the way to stop is by crashing into people, like, boof.
Oh my God.
I stopped. Finally, I'm safe.
Can you explain to people what happens when you get on a motorcycle?
Oh yeah, this is really stupid. Okay, when you like hit a building, you gotta just ricochet off it, and like with a motorcycle, it's the same. But when you hit other vehicles,
you get launched off.
You get launched off it. You like fall on top of the car, and then like you
tumble.
This is like you. This is the car, and then like you tumble on top of the car, and then.
Like I thought you did a super awesome move and like slid. On
no, I just tumbled off.
You just tumbled onto it and then off it. Seeing that in real life would be hilarious. I'm sorry, but that'd be so funny. Like, I'd help that dude out, but not before busting up laughing. Or trying to stifle my laughter, like... But it's like that Dane Cook bit, struck by a vehicle. Anyway, so, yeah, the controls are either too tight and tedious and slow when you're walking, or too slippery and fast when you're in a vehicle. So, and the motorcycle is like uncontrollable.
Oh, and then you can pick up guns.
Yeah.
Problem is, you won't be able to aim it properly at people because people are moving, and again with the tedious turn controls, you have to turn you have to get
often.
So often that you won't be able to hit anything.
Yeah.
Unless they're like standing straight, like Hold on.
If they just really make themselves a sitting duck for you, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so we still haven't beta tested this fully. We're still in beta test mode, so I have to look at this. So onto the visuals. I was actually just thinking about that. The visuals for it being PS1 and coming out in 1998, years after Spyro, after Crash, after Medieval, after even like games like Croc, those games look so nice aesthetically, and this game is very like Genesis looking, 16-bit looking, and for a 32-bit or however bit console, for the PlayStation, it looks kind of poor, to be honest.
Yeah. And then,
Got anything to add to that?
yeah, and then like with like some of like the buildings and all that, they kind of look, yeah, it looks very pixelated.
It does.
And then like even like the characters are very pixelated and aren't really
Not super detailed.
not super detailed. Yeah, like you would expect this from like an older game,
Console.
but not from a console from like 1998, from like the late 1990s.
Yeah,
I mean,
the PlayStation started in the mid '90s, but those games that came out for it, like Crash, like Medieval, those games look really good. And then for Grand Theft Auto to come
Yeah.
out years later after that and look like this is like baffling. Like, oh my god.
it
But,
looks severely poopy.
here's the thing also that I wanted to mention about the characters. So, in any other version of this game, there's 8 characters to choose from, 4 being male and 4 being female. In the PS4 game, you can only play as the 4 male characters.
Wait, PS4 game?
Did I say PS4?
Yes, you
In
did.
the PS1, because I was thinking of 4, and I want a PS4. So
In the PS4 version, you only get to play as the male characters,
the
which is
PS1 version.
Did I do it?
You said it too. We're sorry, people. It's early in the morning.
PS4 troll.
Whatever. In the PS1, also there's a Putty?
What?
What's that Putty game on the PS4?
Oh, I don't remember.
Okay, anyway, we're not talking about that.
We're not talking about that today.
So you can only in the PS1,
You can only play as the 4
Version.
male characters.
and yeah, they all look very similar. They all wear the same kind of shirt or sweater, whatever it is they wear.
Like, their only differences than which you might not even tell is that they have different hair color and then different trousers.
Yeah. So that's the only difference in those characters, and that's kind of
weak.
that's weak and lazy, in my opinion.
Like, oh man, we have to keep like this green guy. What do we do for like the characters? I have an idea. Just change the hair and then the pants, a different color. Boom, new character.
New character. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Yeah, so the aesthetics are poor for it being almost in the 2000s, 1997, 1998. So, yeah, they're not very good looking. Onto the soundtrack now, or lack thereof, because
the game is very silent. Like,
Yeah.
there's not really any accompanying music unless you go into the cars. Then they have some licensed music.
yeah, and I don't even know. I might just throw up a couple examples of what songs are in the game. But in the likes of Tony Hawk, they do have the whole soundtrack's made up of licensed music. Unlike Tony Hawk, they don't just play. Like
Yeah.
Tony Hawk, and I'm just using Tony Hawk as an example because that was also in the 90s, the first couple Pro Skater games.
Yeah.
That awesome soundtrack plays all throughout the levels. You can even choose, I think you can do this in the earlier Tony Hawk Pro Skaters, but you can even choose which either genre or which song specifically, songs you want on or off in your little playlist. So that's really neat.
Yeah.
For Grand
that's
Theft Auto,
cool.
the only time you can hear that licensed music is if you get a new vehicle or something like that. Which is kind of also poor because if you're not in a vehicle, you're just tediously walking or sprinting around to like, your own footsteps or people chattering, and with no music. So that's
Yeah.
kind of a shame.
That is kind of a shame.
So I kind of wish that they just had music playing all around.
Yeah.
It would have made it, you know.
And then since it's Grand Theft Auto, I think it should have been more like, yeah, they should have music playing, like they should have had like a few rap tracks in there.
Oh, I think they do.
They
Full
do.
for its time, obviously, but
Yeah, but they also have like a lot of rock in it. And then with Grand
Yeah.
Theft Auto, you don't really think about listening
Rock
to
as
rock
much.
as much.
That's more
because
for
it's
Tony
Grand
Hawk.
It's Grand Theft Auto. You want to listen to rap that shit.
because this is also rated M like every other freaking.
What's it rated M?
It's rated M. Well, because it's got blood. It's got. They do. I did witness the dialogue for this game.
Oh yeah.
Which
yeah.
they do say things like, you know, hey motherfucker, or like, you fucking asshole. So they do cuss. It's really Bit Crush though, the soundbite, so it's really funny. But that's all we get really for the soundtrack. So next on the list is character portrayals, and we pretty much just talked about
we just
that.
pretty much just their Again, little sprite,
It doesn't
different hair color and trousers.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly matter who you choose, unless they have their stats, which I didn't really pay attention to. I think they did, but honestly, they're all the same. Their profile pictures obviously show that they're different people, but when you play as them, they look, the structure of the sprite, the body, or as much as you can see for being top down, the fact that they all wear the same colored shirt, which with different hair colors, slightly different skin colors, and all that stuff, it's really just that they're all the same, basically. In this
Yeah.
game. And there's not much really to like. There's absolutely no way, unlike other games, where you can really identify with these characters you're playing as. And there's not much of a portrayal really. You're just walking around doing stuff as these characters.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it. So there's really the characters were portrayed all the same. Is basically our consensus. So last thing, the story or lack thereof, because there is no story to this game.
Yeah, pretty much it's and this is what they advertise it as. It's very open-ended. You get to do whatever you want, so
Yeah.
there's no story to constrict you. And pretty much all you do is like
I
you do
mean-
missions or you just do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, by story, I mean there's the difference between a story and a plot. So if there's just the basic story, if there's like a story mode, then you play through like a certain chapters of a certain something that has to do with the overall plot. But there's hardly even a plot in this game as well. I mean, literally all it is just doing missions, killing people, swerving around in cars because they're too slippery to really properly ride. And I mean, you never properly ride a vehicle in Grand Theft Auto, but I mean, in particular, this game makes it hard to even try to drive. You unwillingly drive insane. If you can choose to either drive on the road in the later Grand Theft Autos or go all batshit crazy, but you automatically go batshit crazy because the controls are so bad in this game. So there's hardly a story, and that's kind of it. So
Yeah. And with that,
I guess for this the remainder of this arc, I guess we can pretty much stop the expectations portion. I don't know if that's going to carry over to the later arcs, but for right now, there won't be no more expectations for this arc. So we're just going to go right into the final verdicts.
for my final verdict, I give it a 2 out of 5.
A 2 out of 5.
I mean, some of the controls do work, like the normal stuff, but the movement control and then the way the game looks and then how you control, especially with like using the D-pad, is just terrible, guys.
Yeah, I think I might also have to give it a 2 out of 5 because for now, I'm gonna bump that up to 2.5 because let's hear me out. Because you looked at me like, for it being the first game in the series, it had this idea for how crazy this series ends up getting.
Yeah.
The idea back in the 90s was, you know, this was like a really, it was chance, not chance. It was like a lucky, roll, I guess, for how successful this series ended up getting. It was a risk, is what I was trying to say. This was a big risk. Like, this game, for how it is and all that, like, who would have guessed there'd be a 2, a 3, other spin-offs, with more fleshed out characters.
And
It did get better, is what I'm trying to say.
It did get better, and thank God it got better once Rocksteady came into the picture.
Yeah, actually, it's Rockstar.
Rockstar. Oh.
Rockstar. Rocksteady did
Okay.
other games on all have a game.
Okay, they both have rock in it. That's why I got confused.
Rockstar, yeah.
Well, luckily, Rockstar came in to take it over because
Starting with the sequel.
they are continuing to do a really good job with it, and
Yeah, the last one to come out so far was, I think, a year or two ago, Grand Theft Auto 5. So
we're probably gonna see a GTA 6 coming soon.
probably.
It's probably gonna be like one of those game series that will go on through the ages. Like 200 years from now, they'll have like a Grand Theft Auto 100.
2000. How they get like those big old numbers.
Or hell, even if it goes to 3000, like it's like the year 3000, like GTA, the year 3000.
2000. So I gave it a 2.5 just to restate, because for it being as it's not, this first game isn't all that great,
Yeah.
but it apparently people wanted either people wanted the sequel or they just decided, hey, let's make it better, and they made a sequel and it just took off from there. So
it did have potential, but
yeah,
obviously it wouldn't take it.
yeah, it had the potential to
reach
screw
that
up,
potential.
but apparently it didn't all that much because there's.
It kind of did, but then like someone thought, hey, what if we redo this again, but we do it differently? And that one turned out to be a better.
There's actually a reason. I forget the entire reason, but I guess I'll link down below a Digino Gaming. I think they did a Digino Gaming on Grand Theft Auto. So if what I'm thinking is correct, then I'll have that video down below, and they go into way more detail. But the reason why it's top down for this game, I'm not sure if 2 and 3 are. No, I don't think 3 is. 3 is not top down. I'm not sure if 2 is. But the reason why the first one is because the idea for this game was actually based off of another top-down, not really platforming, but beat 'em up kind of. It was really similar. They drew inspiration from this one other game. I'll have the title up as you can see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took inspiration from another game, so that and it kind of matched it the way, you know. I guess visually and all that, but that game was like for another console. For this being on the PlayStation, they could have made it look aesthetically, like we said earlier, better. So I guess that's it for right now. We're back in business with Arc 3.
Yay!
We're at the middle point, the halfway point, so we've got some other really awesome games planned. So until then, I'm Marcelo.
And I'm Wes.
And this was Trash Talk. Yeah! Pointing at the camera.
Outrageous Hollywood-style car handling.
What does that mean? Hollywood style?
Yes, so.
What does that even mean?
Like car chasing and like Hollywood
Like
movies.
Yeah, if you want to like crash into shit all the time.